Hello, boss. I'm excited that you're with me today, and thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to watch this video. And I'm excited because today I'm going to talk about common challenges of first-time managers. And I share this because I have experienced these common challenges, and I really wanted to bring them to awareness for you guys as well. And so just from experience for me, one of the challenges that I had when I first started managing a team was really understanding what those expectations were. I moved from being a coworker to now managing the people who I used to be, working side by side with. And so, I got the promotion because I was a hard worker. I tried to excel in everything I did, and it was because of that. And like many times how you promote as well is because they have the talent, or you see things in that individual that is going to really help the organization. And so with that, I wanted to share with you some statistics that really are important to know when it comes to common challenges of first-time managers. And so this comes from the Center for Creative Leadership, and their data shows that 20% of first-time managers are doing a poor job per their subordinates. The second statistic is 26% of first-time managers feel they're not even ready to lead. And almost 60% say they've never received any training when they transitioned into their first leadership role, which then the results of the data shows that 50% of managers are rated as ineffective. Now, I know when I first got into my management role the first time, I never received any kind of mentorship. I never received any executive coach that came and worked with me on how to lead teams. So I get it. And this is why those results are staggering, I think. I mean, if you've got 50% of managers who are viewed as ineffective, that is something to really take hold of and make sure that doesn't happen in your company. And with that, I want to say, hey, it's Dr. Heather Williamson with the Transformation Group, and welcome back to the channel. All right, so let's get started and let's talk about those challenges that first-time managers experience. And the first is adjusting to managing people and being in that authoritative role. I mean, for goodness sakes, now either that person got promoted from within, and so they are now managing their coworkers, or they're used to be coworkers. Now they're having to manage them. Or you brought somebody in from the outside that, when you didn't have anybody internally that had the skill sets that you were looking for. But either way, it's the first time that they're managing employees. And with that comes challenges. And so when it comes to adjusting to managing people and being authoritative, it's now understanding that, yes, I'm now having to manage and give direction to my used to be coworkers, but it's also understanding that you are now have to be able to influence, manage, and sometimes even go outside your own direct reports and having to work with others across the different departments, such as if you were managing a project. So that is a challenge under adjusting to managing people. And the second challenge that first-time managers experience is developing effective managerial skills. And so when it comes to effective management skills, time management is huge. That is, for me, on the top of the list, because now you not only have to get your own job done, but those new managers have to be able to manage their direct reports as well. And they are sucking time out of their schedules, because you've got to make sure that they are clear on what the expectations are. They're going to be knocking on your door to answer questions or get clarifications. All this takes time. And then with that, when your time is being sucked up, becomes very stressful. So stress management is another skill that has to be learned. Another one under the skills is relationship management. So your new manager is having to build relationships with their direct reports. They have to build relationships with colleagues. They have to build relationships up the line with other executives. So it is a lot of nuances that have to be figured out. And then finally, just leadership skills. I mean, the new manager has got to figure out how to communicate effectively. How do I get people to do their job? How do I delegate and really empower them and let them own the task? All these things and others in the realm of leadership is a challenge for first-time managers. Now, the third challenge that first-time managers experience is holding teams accountable. So like I said before, when you have got a team and they used to be your direct reports, or even they're brand new, you don't really know who they are in that case, but it's being able to give direction, giving that direction so they meet goals and achieve those goals. It's also giving clear expectations on what it is that you want and making sure that those are understood. And it's also being organized yourself, so staying organized for your own job role, but then making sure that your team is organized as well so they meet the deadlines that you have set up for them. Another challenge for first-time managers is motivating their team. I mean, they kind of know what they're motivated by, whether it's internally or externally, but they don't know what motivates their team. A lot of first-time managers just assume that they're going to be motivated based on what they are personally motivated by. But team members are motivated by different things, whether it's money or from an external perspective, money, job promotion, bonuses, or it could be internally, which the majority of people are motivated internally. And that can be things like giving them challenging work or giving them opportunities to learn new skills, opportunities to work with senior level managers. All these things are internal motivators, and understanding your team so you know what motivates them is key. And first-time managers have a struggle with this. Another area of focus is just being able to inspire and challenge your team so they meet and achieve those goals that you have set for them. And then, building that team, building that high-performing team that you want, and you know how to motivate them correctly. The fifth area is a challenge. The fifth challenge that I have for first-time managers is managing performance. So when it comes to managing performance, a challenge that first-time managers have is that they now have to give feedback on a direct report that is not performing at the level that they expect. And knowing how to do this and effectively, plus really having the initiative to do it is key. And sometimes, first-time managers just kind of want to avoid it. They want to be liked. They don't want to be seen as a jerk boss or, heavy-handed. So it's holding people to management expectations on performance can be a challenge. It's also, they may lack, when it comes to managing performance, what about the lack of knowledge or skills or expertise that's needed, or the abilities that are needed for the job. They may not know the team well enough to be able to manage that performance, or they don't know it themselves. So that is key as well. Now, another challenge that first-time managers have is delegating and not micromanaging. So when it comes to delegating, first-time managers, I think, sometimes resist delegating because they feel like, they don't want to be seen as passing off their work to the direct reports. However, it's really understanding where the focus should be for that first-time manager. Strategy is key here. So understanding strategy and implementing that strategy and delegating the things that the manager should not be tying up their time with is what is delegated. Now, with delegation, you have to allow your people to own their work, and you're empowering them, and that is a challenge because sometimes first-time managers want to interfere, but they shouldn't interfere. They also want to be able to trust that employee is going to do the work and be comfortable with the outcomes that are going to be achieved, and really just comfortable with delegating in general. So these are some key challenges under the focus of delegating and not micromanaging and doing the work for them. Another challenge that first-time managers have is managing conflict. So when it comes to managing conflict, this is not just a first-time manager challenge, because avoiding it is going to be a response that many people take. However, when it comes to managing conflict, avoidance is the strategy that a lot of first-time managers will take, because they are hoping that that conflict will be resolved between those direct reports, it will be fixed, and they won't have to worry about it. But typically 9 times out of 10, it does not go away. It's got to be addressed. And with that comes the knowledge that they don't really have, and that is, understanding how to deal with that confrontation and that resistance that may come up. It's also understanding what may cause potential conflict. So if you've got an employee, they may not know, hey, this employee is, I'm going to give them these responsibilities. And then this other employee feels slighted because they don't get what they thought they should have gotten. And so that's a potential conflict that may arise. Another first-time challenge for many managers is, or another challenge from first-time managers, is working with diverse teams. And so now they've got a team that they have to manage. They may not know everybody on that team, may not know their strengths, their weaknesses. And it's also understanding the knowledge that they have, the skill sets, the expertise, their abilities, and being able to use that to achieve the goals that you are wanting them to achieve. And sometimes it's really adapting that first-time manager has to adapt their own behavior. And this comes for example, with communication. So if you've got an employee who is, if you've ever taken the DISC assessment, who is very high in that C, who is very organized, very detail-oriented, data-driven, and you have to communicate in a way that relates to them. So when you are having a meeting, you need to have your stuff together. You can't just go in there and be disorganized and expect them to be able to respect you. It's just not going to happen. You have got to adapt your behavior and make sure that you've got all your ducks in a row when you meet with that particular employee. So just to recap real quick, the common challenges of first-time managers is, one, adjusting to managing people and being authoritative in that for the first time. The second is developing effective management skills. The third is holding team members accountable. The fourth is knowing how to motivate your team. The fifth is managing performance. The sixth is delegating and not micromanaging your direct reports. The seventh is managing conflict. And last but not least is working with diverse teams. The key here that I wanted to stress is that as a boss and you have now promoted somebody into a management role and they've never managed people before, it is imperative that you provide the support and guidance needed for that employee to be successful. It also is important because they are now transitioning from being a coworker, among their team, and now advancing into that leadership role. So giving them opportunities to be mentored, to be coached. I know when I was working with a senior level executive in an organization, he hired a project manager from another company, and I was working with the senior level executive, but he actually had me work with this new project manager because he had never managed people before, and he wanted to set him up with success. So he knew how to effectively get the results that are needed within the organization among his team members. And so, I mean, I worked with him for 2 years and he was amazing. And I really admired this senior level executive to see the value in setting that particular manager up for success. So think about that when it comes to your team members. Make sure that they are set up for success, because in the end, that means the success for your company. All right? Hopefully this was helpful, and if you did, please like the button below. Don't forget to subscribe or share this with other bosses that may see some value in this information. And last but not least, go out and be that boss that your people want to work for. All right? Until next time, have an amazing day.